seasons of Everybody Loves Raymond, which got more than 70 Emmy nominations, 15 wins, including Best Series twice. He's the star of Exporting Raymond. He's been on 30 Rock as himself, Jimmy Kimmel Live, so much more. He is the star of Netflix's hit series, Somebody Feed Phil, the man of the hour, back to the pit, Mr. Phil Rosenthal. It happens. That was a mic drop.
Like a rapper, I dropped the mic.
Yes. Is this working? Good stuff.
Hello. A clown's prayer, it says.
Yeah.
I'll do
so
that.
Everybody, if you need to watch the entire New York episode, there's a lot more that's there. But I remember when you were here filming it and you had told me the ballerina stuff that just happened out of the blue, that wasn't actually planned, that you had met ballerinas and you had that idea, correct?
I'm always meeting ballerinas. There was something at our hotel, like I say in the thing, and I met them, and I saw there were a couple of them, they were really chowing down, which I didn't think ballerinas did. I thought they have a piece of lettuce and then go and they have to purge, and I thought that's what they do. And to see these young girls, these skinny little nothings with these great appetite, you have to leave room in any creative endeavor, I think. Leave room for the serendipity. Leave room for stuff to happen. And so I told the guys, listen, I met these ballerinas. I think it would be fun to watch them eat a lot of food. So let's go. I want to have a picnic with them in Central Park. We can showcase all the best takeout of New York. We get from here. We do it. Here's the luck we got. You notice there's no one else in Central Park? They were closed because the next morning they were going to be seeding the Great Lawn. And so that's the afternoon before. And they said, you can have it.
I wasn't sure about that. I didn't know. Christina and I were watching it last night, my wife,
Yeah.
and we were not sure how you were able to get the entire area. It
Yes.
was incredible visually. And then Paulette comes in with the cake.
Yes, nice.
Which is a beautiful cake.
That's a good. I recommend that cake.
Yeah, the cake. I've tried it. It's amazing. But this is who gets Elaine May, legendary Nichols and May, Elaine May, to be in an episode of anything. And you get her to be in the New York episode. We weren't able to show everything, but it's incredible. You got her, you got Tracy Morgan is in this episode, Judy Gold, who's one of the funniest people. This episode is absolutely incredible. How did Elaine May happen?
She had nothing to do.
That is not true. She says no to almost everything.
I met her. I went up to her at a play. It was a play of hers on Broadway. I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, there was 3 one-acts. One was by Ethan Coen, Woody Allen, and Elaine May. So I went to this play. I guess I saw it in previews. I see her sitting there before the play starts. Hello, I just want to meet you. I'm such a fan. She says, what do you do? I told her about Raymond. She goes, we watch that every night. That's our favorite show. I'm like, what? And she went on and on and on about it. I said, and she's sitting with her boyfriend, Stanley Donen. I don't know if you know who that is. He directed
Singing in the Rain.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, not too shabby. And I say, can I take you to eat? And they said yes. And the next day, Monica and I had lunch with them. And we've been friends ever since. Yes.
So you were out to dinner last night with your parents. Do your parents get recognized? Do they have a fan club? Do they have an official fan club page on Facebook?
It's a little annoying. Because people will say to me, I like the show, we love your parents. Yes. Why do I bother traveling? If that's the part you like, I could save Netflix a lot of time and money by sitting in their kitchen like we do in this one. That's the pilot for their spin-off, by the way.
Ted Sarandos has them on speed dial. What are some moments during Somebody Feed Phil that when you're filming, some moments where you're saying to yourself, I can't believe this is happening?
Every moment. Because look at, I know I'm the lucky bastard. I know that.
That's what Jimmy Kimmel said, right?
Everybody says. In fact, my brother, when I told him I got this job, said, really, what are you going to call the show? The Lucky Bastard? And I told him, quit your job and be the producer of the show, and we'll call it Lucky Bastards, the production company, which if you watch the end, there's a little logo of 2 stick figures on top of the world waving a flag that says Lucky Bastards. That's how I feel, you know? So yes, every single second of every single episode, as a matter of fact, every second of flying to the location, I'm thinking that.
Did you have any idea when you were making this before it launched how many people would make happy? Like, I see on Twitter and I see Facebook, you know, life isn't easy and it just brings so much joy. My friend Mark Berman is here, and he's one of these guys that he's never met you, but he feels like he knows you from watching the show. And just the enthusiasm and the warmth that you bring. Did you have any idea when you were filming this that people would just, the response? Because I've been with you in public and I've seen just people come up to you and they're like my friend Phil, and they've never met you in their life.
I expect this now. No, you never know. No, I never thought I'd be, you know, when you're struggling in New York, as I did for 10 years right after college, I expected to just hopefully buy something to eat. That's all.
And you were, I mean, I want to say, I mean, a lot of people look at you and they don't think about the struggle, but you were a manager of a deli.
Yes.
And then you were a security guard here in the city, which is hilarious visual. But I want to mention, your story about being a security guard is up there with Jay Thomas going on Letterman and telling the Lone Ranger story every year on Letterman. It's up there with Mel Brooks telling his Cary Grant story. I've heard it so many times, but it still makes me laugh. Please tell us about being a security guard in New York City.
I was a security guard at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And you wear the uniform designed by Bill Blass, by the way, so you are part of the art. And your main job, if you're a guard at the Met, is to say, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch, or down the hall and to the left. And then I got, you know, I was in theater and stuff, so I was working on a play, and then they moved me to the graveyard shift. Now, the graveyard shift is midnight to 8 in the morning. And anybody ever worked the graveyard shift? Yes. You know who usually works the graveyard shift? People who don't get along with regular people during the day. And so I had this shift, and I was young. I was 21, and I thought I could do the play, work on that during the day, do the play in the evening, and then make it to work. 3 evenings I went with almost 0 sleep. So I'm doing my route. You know, you go on a route, and you go for an hour, and then you come back to your post, and your partner goes for the other hour, and that's how they do it. And I finished my route with a little time to spare, and I was a zombie. I was even on cold medication. And I finished my route, and I look, and there's a bed. Now, this was a 300-year-old bed, part of an exhibit, but I swear I was zonked out of my mind, and I just remember walking towards it. An hour and a half later, the entire museum staff are looking for the guard that didn't report back to his post for an hour and a half. Where is this guard? Is there a robbery in progress, right? Has the guard been knocked off? Did the guard do it, which is usually the case? I'm woken by a big lady standing over me. She sees a guard asleep on this 300-year-old bed with his walkie-talkie, his keys, his flashlight, a little drool on the pillow. And I just remember being shaken awake and looking at her and thinking, how did she get in my room? And she says, what are you doing? And I realized where I was. And I'm very sorry. It's a tiny room. The top of the American wing, it's like a little frontier-type room. It's called the Heart Room, if you want to see it. There's a plaque there now that says Phil Rosenthal slept here.
And all I remember is
I was fired, by the way.
But then you actually contested it. You went to the union and you contested it.
I did.
And then
I begged for mercy. And I was humiliated.
But then
I was embarrassed.
What is the story about you upset the other guards, and wasn't there a chase?
I did. There was. I got my job back because they felt sorry for me. Certainly, we must take care of our local idiots. So they let me back. But once I got back, the people on the night route thought I had somehow circumvented their authority, and they didn't like that. In fact, one of the guys threatened me with physical violence. Again, they don't get along with regular people during the day. And one guy actually wanted to start a fight with me and chase me around one of the big galleries. It was crazy. So I was fired again. They found another reason to fire me. This one was not justified. That one was, but this one wasn't. And I thought, this is the low point of my life. I'm forever going to be an outcast, someone who can't literally do anything because I had a theater degree. And years later, when I started writing in Los Angeles, you need what's called a spec script, meaning something you write on speculation for no money. It's kind of your audition in writing. So I had a partner. What are we going to write about? Well, there was a show called Roseanne at the time, in the late 80s, right? And the first one, and I
remember.
And before the tweeting, and we thought, well, it's the most popular show on TV. What about a show for that? Okay, what will we write about? What if her husband, they're desperate and he needs a second job? What if he gets a job at night working at a museum and he falls asleep on a 300-year-old bed, right? And so we wrote it and we started passing it around, and everyone in Hollywood is going, what an imagination! And we got hired.
That's what you hired.
So the point of the story is, you think the low point of your life could turn out to be the high point, the thing that gets you the thing. That's all.
I was watching Dublin yesterday, the Dublin episode. What was that like, going with Monica, your real life wife, to Dublin and filming with her?
It really hinders your chance at meeting other ladies. It was a dream. It was great. She's kind of Irish. And so it was fun to take her around. We take her, I don't know if you saw it yet, but we take it. There's a new museum in Dublin that I recommend if you're Irish. They'll check your ancestry right there on the spot. And we found out that she's not worth much, Monica, really, ancestry-wise.
We were talking backstage before the show, and when I was watching Dublin, the cold open, I was convinced that the video footage was Getty images, because a lot of TV shows will pay for this stock footage. It was this beautiful shot on a mountain, and then it gets to you, and I was like, oh my goodness, I was totally fooled.
I'm now part of stock footage. That's what that means. Yes.
But and then Christine was like, it's probably, it was a drone?
An actual drone we used.
That's what they filmed. The footage
Spare no
amazing.
expense for you people.
Yeah. But the footage, it's such beautifully shot. Our mutual friend, John Badolis, the director,
Yes. Netflix does it right.
Yeah.
There's 4K cameras. Everything on every episode looks beautiful except for one thing. But everything, look at the ladies.
So the Venice episode, which made us laugh so much yesterday, with the guy who keeps taking away your plate as you're eating. You couldn't write stuff like that.
I know.
When you get someone like that,
you pay them extra for being great.
Yeah.
Yes. No, they're fantastic. That's what you look for when you do anything. You're looking for. Well, in life, we look for the great characters, right? That's who I love.
Who's the one guy? And it was the first 6 episodes that you meet him, and then he keeps showing back up and keeps trying to get in.
That was in Lisbon.
Yes.
By the way, Monica and I just took a little vacation just a couple weeks ago, and we went back. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but you could see that we were visiting some of the places that we visited that Monica didn't get to go to, like Lisbon. So we went back, and I see my friends, which is so wonderful. It's a reason to travel, is to make these friends and then go visit them.
And you put in the Venice episode, you say, shouldn't we be friends with people all over the world? And I just think in these times, it's such a wonderful thing to just see people from all walks of life and different experiences come together.
This is my big political statement, right? How is this how did this thing become political of just being a human being, right?
Yeah. Human being. Have there been any cities or tourism boards that have tried to court you to come film at their city, their country?
Not yet, but I'm open to it.
Okay. If anybody knows, just wondering. How often do you film at a restaurant and it doesn't make an episode? Because you have like hours, like don't you have like 12 or 14 hours?
We film for 10 days.
10 days. So how often
in
does
each
that
place.
happen?
A lot.
Yeah,
because the show's an hour, and we film for 10 days, and at least 2 times a day I'm eating. So it doesn't. Not everything makes it in. It can't. By the way, people say you seem to love everything. Well, yes, I love everything that makes it into the show. That's why I'm showing it to you. You don't see the one where I go, nah, that was all right. Because I want you to travel. So why not try to get you there by showing you the best stuff? So yes, it really is the best when we're showing it. Even Netflix goes, you seem to like a lot of things. Yes, I do. Yes.
You are so skinny. I have never seen photos of when you were at Raymond the first few years, and you were like 40 pounds heavier, weren't you? Something
Why
like
are you
that?
bringing this up?
Because I want to ask.
Hey, I remember photos of you when you looked terrible.
No, the reason that I'm mentioning it is because TV writers, they throw food at you. I mean, I've been in these.
You're in what we call the veal pen, the writer's room, right?
It's constant food.
It's usually, you're going to be in there for 12, sometimes 16 hours. The only sunshine coming in that room is the menu, the takeout menu, and you can, in Hollywood, order whatever you want, and so you do. You say, does anyone want dessert? Yes. What should we get? How about everything? Okay. And we get everything. And then you know what else we get? Fat.
My question is, how did you lose the weight, stay so skinny, and still eat well?
I remember very well on my 40th birthday checkup at the doctor, he said, hey, your cholesterol's a little high for your age. Now, this is the first time that I'd ever heard any kind of negative health thing. Very lucky. But when he said that, like a nervous Jew, I freaked out. Oh my God, I'm dying. High cholesterol. So I go research, how do you lower your cholesterol? Same thing you do to lower your weight. You cut back on red meat, dairy, sugar, right, bread. So I do it. And I dropped the 30 pounds, and I've kind of kept it off within 5 pounds or so. But I work out every day. People ask, how do you eat so much and stay skinny? First of all, when you see me eating on the thing, you're seeing what I ate that day. It's just all put together, 10 days worth, right? The other thing is, before I'm eating, I'm not eating.
Yeah. And you have
That's how they make dog food commercials, by the way. They don't let the dog eat until the commercial. Right? Until they're filming. They starve the dog. I'm the dog.
And on Instagram, it's Insta Story where it's you and your trainer, your trainer friend.
Yes.
It's funny on Instagram. If you're not following Philip on Instagram, and please, if you're taking photos, please tag them. Somebody feed Phil. Social media plug.
Thank you.
When did your passion?
I have my social media director right here, David
Dave is
Vada,
here.
everybody.
Yes, Dave.
Responsible for how nice it all looks. Should we tell him about the thing? Say it. You say it. This is David, everybody. Stand up. Be proud.
Dave, everybody.
Hey. A genius.
5 hours, Phil's website, Phil Rosenthal World, will be launching, and you'll be able to find every place it's been, everything you ate.
Yeah.
And then over the next week, lots of exclusive content stuff that didn't make the show.
Nice.
So you can see Phil not like things.
When
Shots of me throwing up in an alley.
it happens. When did your passion for traveling start? How old were you? Because you didn't travel with your family growing up much,
We
right?
didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
We went to Miami when I was 12 because an uncle had a condo we wasn't using for a week. So that made the decision for us. We didn't have much money, and that was it. So 1972, so I'm 12, right? Florida. What's being built in Florida? What is just opening in Florida in 1972? Disney World. We begged our parents, can we come? We're going to be in Miami. It's so close to Orlando. Can we stop there? No. Can we stop? Come on, it's one day. We can do. We did not leave them alone until, the Disney World of 1972 was half of just the Magic Kingdom portion of Disneyland. It was that, like Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't even built. I remember. It was half the Magic Kingdom. But it was still, my mother said, you like this? When we were walking around there? I said, this is the best day of my life. She went, oh, come on. But here's what Disney, I think, does for people and for children. You don't even realize it because you're waiting online all day. It instills and inspires a sense of travel, right? And I want to tell people who only go there that the real versions of these places are out there and they're so much better. And so is the food, by the way. Like you saw the Bangkok show where I go on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
And I go on the floating market and I'm eating the world's best pad thai and this and this. Disney's got nothing on this ride. They don't feed you on the It's a Small World ride. This, you're eating and you're living. So this is all the show's about. Go, travel, come on.
Have there been any people that were not nice to you growing up in school or high school, college that now that you're famous and successful have reached out to you? Because I know that happened.
My parents.
Oh, gosh.
David Fada said that to me backstage right before we went, before I could think of it. He said it. So the laugh is his.
This is a question Christine had, which was that what got you interested in fine dining? Because you're in your early 20s here in New York City. You don't have that much money. You're saving money just to be able to go to a 4-star restaurant to celebrate your birthday.
Yes.
What made you interested in that?
I just started reading about it. I always loved great food from the moment I left my mother's kitchen. I found, it's like Dorothy opens the door. Now the world is suddenly in color. That was like me with flavor of any kind. And you come to New York, and the New York Times, maybe once a year, the restaurant review would have a 4-star review, a 4-star restaurant. And I just thought this was Disneyland to go to one of these places. The way they wrote and described it sounded like, how could I possibly go? And I made it my business to save my money and once a year on my birthday, go.
What was the first place that you went to? Do you remember?
I think it was Lutèce. Do you remember that place, old people? And Lutèce, Le Grand Oui, Le Côte Basque. These were like trips to France, trips to Paris. Le Bernardin is still there. I recommend it. You can go for lunch. Maybe I think it's a little cheaper, but you get the same experience. Go to those places. Oh, my God. It's like if you can't afford a trip to Europe. I went to my new favorite, didn't even make the show because I think I didn't go there until after we filmed, is a place called La Coque Rico, which is very close to here. You like it. World's best. On your wedding night, did you marry the chicken? So you could marry the chicken. It's marryable chicken, right? It's delicious. So I took my parents there last night. They like it. Yeah. Very expensive.
And you're in bed watching Letterman with your wife, and on the screen...
Let's say yes.
is the first time that you see this guy as a New York City comedian that nobody in America knew who this guy was, and you just happened to be watching Letterman at the time. It was his Letterman debut. He had been on Carson 2 years earlier, and nothing had happened. And that man was who?
Raymond.
And so you're watching this, and what are your initial impressions? You've never met him. You have no idea that Dave Letterman's about to, based on this performance, is going to say, we need to give this guy his own show. Like, what is your reaction when you're watching his set?
Both of us, Monica and me, both said, oh, he's funny. And then we forgot about it, as you do. 3 months later, if you're a writer in Los Angeles, they send you tapes of comedians to maybe inspire you to write a show for them. They're looking for people to create shows for them, and you're looking for talent to write shows for. And this tape shows up, and I put it in. I didn't recognize the name. I put it in, but I remember, I saw that guy in Letterman. He's funny. So I'll take that meeting, and we met.
And how was it? How did you guys click right away, you and Ray?
No. We met at Arts Deli on Ventura Boulevard.
Zero acting experience, I want to say. Never had acted in his life.
Right. I never created a show before, so it seemed fair. He just started telling me about his family. I asked, tell me about your background. And he goes, I got twin boys and older daughter. My parents live close by, and they're always bothering me. I got an older brother who's a police sergeant. He lives with them. He's divorced. He's jealous of me. He touches every bite of food to his chin before he eats it. He came to my house the other day. He said, looked at my little award for stand-up. He goes, never ends for Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond. And I said, wow, there doesn't seem like there's anything there we can use.
So then you wind up, how after that, how long passes before you're sitting at the Ed Sullivan Theater in David Letterman's office?
Couple months, I guess. I wrote a pilot. What I didn't know about the personalities of his family, I filled in with the personalities of my family. So my parents, you see, in this show now, they were kind of the inspiration for the parents on Raymond. And a lot of stories that come from that are on the show come from these two idiots, and I owe them everything, I guess, because they gave us a lot of material, always, nonstop.
And when you sit down with Letterman, and all he says is, the only advice he says is, don't embarrass us. That's the only thing he says.
That is actually true. I wrote the pilot, and apparently it was going to go, and so I get a call. David Letterman would like to meet you because it's partly his money going in, so it's like a job interview. And I go in. His show is still on, so you're meeting one of your idols, really, because I never missed an episode. And I go up to the 6th floor, I think it was, and I'm ushered into his office. And when you go into Letterman's office, his desk is facing the wrong way, meaning you enter his office and you're not facing the desk. You're behind the desk, right? And he's like over here. He says hi, and there's two other guys, and he gestures for me to sit at his chair behind the desk. And I go, not behind the desk. And he goes, absolutely behind the desk. And so I sit there.
And isn't he playing?
And they sit here.
Isn't he playing really loud music so you have to scream to talk?
Heavy metal, rock music. Heavy metal, blasting. And I sit there and they sit here, and I said, well, the first thing I'd like to do is throw you all the hell out of my office. And this is the laugh you get from seasoned professionals like David Letterman and his two writer-producers. And it was that comfortable for the half hour that I was there. But they did treat me as if I had the job already. And he said, well, just, he goes, just don't embarrass us. I'm like, oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. That's what I tell my kids when I drop them off at school every day.
So you do the pilot, it gets picked up, and you have a chapter in your book, which I highly recommend, called Always Quit. And your show gets picked up, you're all excited, and then they tell you that you're not going to be the showrunner.
Well, why would they make me the showrunner? I never ran a show before. Except when I heard that, I thought, well, wait a minute. I did the pilot, right? I said to my agent, and he said, yeah, so I'll do more like that. I don't understand why suddenly they don't trust me. Well, now if the show is going, now the millions of dollars are going to be spent, and they can't trust that to you. You never ran a show before. And I go, well, then I quit. He goes, what? I said, no, I'm writing about my actual family. I don't know how to run every show, but I sure as hell know how to run this show, and I'm not going to work for somebody else on my show. So I quit. And he goes, all right, don't get excited. Let me talk to them. Let's see what we can do. So next day, he calls me back, and he goes, good news. They're going to let you co-run the show with someone who's run a show before, and you can co-run it with them. I said, oh, if you put it that way, I quit. Because I know what will happen. They can call it whatever they want. That guy's going to be the boss of my show. So I quit, tell him I quit, goodbye, hang up. Monica says, why are you sad? And I said, because I quit the show. Why are you an idiot? She says. I say, because of these reasons. And day goes by. another day goes by. I'm living in a world where my show is going forward without me. And I've probably ruined my whole life. 3 days later, the phone rings. They're going to let you run it.
Because you were bold enough over CBS as some of the networks, the executives, to tell Leslie Moonves to be honest about a casting choice. He wanted a very famous actress to be in the role of Deborah, and you told you knew that she wasn't right, but you had to very gently, and it was a huge risk for you to tell Leslie
Well, I was going to quit over that, too.
Yeah, so what did you tell Leslie?
Always quit.
And I want to mention Lorne Michaels' early Saturday Night Live with the launch up to the show. He did that a bunch of times, and they kept bringing him back, and it's definitely worked out for both of you guys.
You don't quit over, this, I said room temperature. This is cold, this water. You don't quit over that. Although, yes, I'm quitting now.
Good night, everyone.
No, you quit when you've pushed it as far as you can, but this train is about to hit that wall. I'm jumping off this train. All we have is our name. All we have is our integrity and what we bring to the world, right? So if that's going to be compromised beyond where you're comfortable, you have to take a stand. Otherwise, you may as well work for the government.
Unless Moonves admired how you handled it, and that was one of the main factors that he allowed you, because it was Les Moonves' decision to showrun Raymond.
Absolutely, owe him everything.
The rules of Raymond, and I love this because it's one of those things where the show is still so timely and it doesn't age, is one of the rules was nothing topical.
Well, I figured, wow, we're very lucky to have a TV show. How often do you get your own TV show? And so if you do, wouldn't you like it to have lasting value as opposed to something that's kind of disposable? So it was the values I was trying to emulate were of the shows that were classics to me, like The Honeymooners, right? Or the Mary Tyler Moore Show, or Dick Van Dyke Show, or, All in the Family. These shows that endured, not because they were topical. All in the Family has a lot of topical stuff, which is maybe why you don't see it that much anymore. But the part of All in the Family I valued the most, in addition to its groundbreaking politics, was the relationship between Archie and Edith and Meathead. This is what I love. This kind of timeless. You don't want to be timely. You want to be timeless. So why date the show? There's not a lot of shows on right now that do the Monica Lewinsky joke. There were then. You don't see them anymore. The reason Raymond is still on TV Land is because in the back of my mind, I said, yes, I'm doing it for CBS, but let's also do it for TV Land.
And one of the things I love about your show is a lot of sitcoms, mostly the ones that fail, are like joke, 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 and they don't have these well-developed characters and stories. And not every moment of Raymond had to be a hard laugh. There would be a payoff. And one of my favorites, and it made the pilot, was Fruit of the Month Club, which always makes me laugh. Can you tell them about Fruit of the Month Club?
I put it in the pilot because it was a real way of showing how crazy, right off the bat, Ray's parents are. I gave my mother, I sent them a gift of Fruit of the Month. Anybody ever get this? So I get that call from my mother. I'm in Los Angeles, but I get this call. Philip, your gift arrived. Did you know it was a box of pears? I said, yeah. You like them? Oh, they're very nice, but there's so many pears. What am I going to do with all these pears? I said, I don't know, you eat them. Myself? I don't know. Why don't you share them with Dad? How many pears can your father eat? Please, Philip, do me a favor. Don't ever send us any more food again, okay? I said, well, Ma, another box is coming next month. And she goes, what, more pears? And I said, no, different fruit every month. She goes, every month? What? Maxie got us in some kind of cult. She got so upset. She goes, I can't talk anymore. There's too much fruit in the house.
I have a lot more questions, but before I get to questions, if anybody in the audience has questions, why don't you raise your hand, and I want to make sure everyone that asks a question. You're pointing.
You're pointing at him.
At your dad.
Does that mean you have a question you want him to ask?
Oh my gosh, he wrote them out. He wrote them.
He won't ask a question?
Why at everyone? You're going to take a bow?
He barely shook my hand before, this kid. Is it me?
It's you.
Okay. It's you.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Well, how dare you?
I grew up eating with my German Jewish grandparents, blood sausage and liverwurst and beefsteak tartare, and that made me eat everything. In fact, my wife tells me that I eat everything, and bothers her. Do you have any of that with any relatives or anything like that, other than eating whatever?
You mean disgusting things?
Like good disgusting.
Good disgusting. What would you say? Okay. My father's favorite meat is tongue. A tongue sandwich. If you got to be Jewish to really understand this, or there's other ethnic groups that love tongue, I believe. Mexican people love tongue. You can get a great taco. I am not adverse to eating this. It's not, is it the number one meat of choice when I go into a place? Do you have tongue? No, but if it's there, I will eat it. It's fine. Yeah.
She make the horseradish or the raisin sauce?
Horseradish. We're more savory than sweet in my house.
Yes, in the back.
Phil, two things. Number one, do you have a bucket list restaurant that you haven't made it to yet that's on your agenda? And number two, can you describe briefly, I know the backstory to the trip to Italy with the Romano study,
Yes.
and maybe you can touch on that.
This whole show was inspired from an episode we did of Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't know if you saw the one where we went to Italy in that. Well, that stemmed from just asking Raymond if he had ever gone overseas. And he said no. And I said, why? And he said, I'm not really interested in other cultures. Even his own culture, Italian. And I thought we got to do that episode where we send him over with that attitude and send him back with my attitude. Someone who's excited about travel and food and eating in Italy, especially the best thing in life maybe you can do. And took years to convince him. Years, like 3 years, to convince him and CBS to give us the money. But he didn't even want to get on a plane. He's afraid of flying even. But we did it. And the little character arc that I wrote of a guy who gets transformed by the magic, getting woke, happened to him, the person. And when I saw this happen to my buddy, I thought, I gotta keep that in mind. This is what I really love more than anything, is turning you on to stuff I like. Just like all of you. When you have a friend and you've eaten something wonderful, what's the first thing you want to do is try this. That's what we do. That's all the show is, right? So that's it. Is there a bucket list restaurant? No, I'm very lucky.
Yes.
Hi. Rosenthal, thank you so much for all of your happy food travels.
Thank you.
The infectious love for food, so thank you for that.
It's really about the people, you know. The food and the jokes, they're just the excuse, you know.
So I was watching the Venice episode, and I was so excited and a little bit upset that you shared my favorite restaurant, the Vini del Toro in Venice, was my special place. So I feel it's only fair that you share with me a special place in Japan, because I'm going with my husband, and I was wondering if there's any recommendations for me.
Sure. So you know, before this series, I did one for PBS, and that's also available on Netflix. You know it?
Yeah.
So there's a Tokyo episode. So it's all there, and now on the website, my whole list is there for you. The one place I would insist that you go,
What's the number one not miss?
the spicy ramen place called Kikanbo. Don't miss that. That's the one. I went to the ultra fancy one. The one that's calling me back is that one.
I have to convince my husband because he's not a pork eater.
All right, listen, if he doesn't want to go,
Yes.
Are you aware that Lake Street Dive is acquired as fifth member?
yes, I am. I am not the member.
May I gift you with his debut album?
What? There's the keyboard guy, right?
Yes, Aki Burmese.
He's fantastic. And you know what? I had dinner with him and the band in L.A. A few months ago, and I think he's fantastic. Aki, everybody.
That's a,
Are you related? Of this record. Look at that. What's your name? Sherry Morse, everybody.
Yes. There was another question right there. Yes. Yes. Hi. Yes.
Hi. I love your show, big fan.
Thank you.
I hadn't heard of it until my brother told me about it. And
When? Yesterday? Just now? She's like blindfolded. We're taking you somewhere.
no, I'm a big fan, and one of my favorite parts of the show is your innate ability to connect with people when you're traveling. I think that's just such a unique aspect that you have brought to TV and to travel TV, and I was wondering
Thank
if
you.
that was a tactical decision to include that in the show, and why do you think that's important?
So I heard I guess it's kind of who I am anyway. I can't help it. But I did hear a study recently. I think it was Paula Poundstone has a wonderful podcast, or did. And she's always bringing up these very interesting studies and facts. And they found that people who, and this is going to sound counterintuitive, who on the subway say hi to the person next to them when they sit down or during the ride are happier people just for doing that. Because 99% of the time, you get a smile back or a, oh, hi, like this, and maybe something even a little more. It's very rare that the person, takes out a knife and stabs you to death. I'm sure it can happen. Be careful. Size up the situation, maybe. But just being that type of person makes you happier. So we can translate that to you walk down the street and all of us are like this, or, especially I know, women, girls especially, are taught never, ever make eye contact because, God forbid, you make eye contact and it unleashes hell, right? But most of the time, just that, walking down the street makes a difference in your life. And wouldn't the world be a little nicer if everybody was kind of more like that and less like this? That's all.
Yes.
Hi. I'm wondering how you guys decide where you're going to go eat and what that job's called. 'Cause
Phil Forager. No, we all have this amazing technology in our pockets, right? So you can do the research to find where you're going to eat. And what I do is I never settle on just the Yelp review. That's a good place to get started. But then you must cross-reference, meaning you take the restaurant that looks like, oh, it has 5 stars. It could have 5 stars on Yelp because it's cheap. It could have 5 stars on Yelp because one person reviewed it, the owner of the restaurant. There's all these ulterior motives, so you must cross-reference. That means go to Google, look up the restaurant. Any other reviews like that? Now you have a little bit more of a educated guess. Beyond that, I have a production company that works on the show, and they have people in every location on the face of the earth. Now, how am I picking the cities that we go? If I'm trying to get Americans, especially, to travel, 2/3 of us don't have a passport, okay? And that's including everyone who came to America with a passport. And only 10% of them use the passport. So I actually think the world would be a little better if we all could experience a bit of someone else's experience, if we all traveled. So to get the reluctant among us to go, I'm starting with what I think are Earth's greatest hits. Meaning, especially for Americans, there'll be a hotel, there'll be a bed with a pillow. You're not sleeping in the forest in a hut. You don't have to be scared. Most people speak English in every one of these locations. There are familiar foods to you, so you don't have to be that nervous. And beyond that, I understand not everyone can afford to travel, so we do an American city every 6, and so you can travel in your own town. Look, we live in New York, right, or Los Angeles. The world is here. You can go everywhere. We're just afraid. Oh, what if I don't like Peruvian? Well, look up the menu for the place. This takes nothing. Oh, chicken and rice. I like chicken and rice. Yes, you like chicken and rice. Go. And before you know it, you taste something else there that you didn't. I heard a great thing that one thing you should always do is order a dish for the table of something that sounds the weirdest to you or the least familiar, because it's the experiment. Maybe you hate it. So what? It was the tasting is its own reward. The good news is, what if you like it? Now you're hugging the chef, and the next thing you know, you're in Machu Picchu.
It happens. Yes.
My name is Lauren, and it's really great to be here. Like, I'm an actor primarily,
Nice.
and a comedic improviser.
Nice.
Yeah, and one of the things that really resonates with what you were saying, like your parents, they necessarily like, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of sad because like your experience, like you didn't have parents who were in the business already. Like they were probably like working class people.
Absolutely.
You became like the star of the family, like to be a showrunner or to like be a creative in Hollywood. That's a big deal. So how do you tell people like myself who don't necessarily have that from like I don't have like somebody to turn to in my family like, hey, I want to do a show. Like how do I do this? Like, obviously there's like the media now, like social media and people starting, but like in terms of like the business, what would you suggest? Would it be like to be try to be like a writer's assistant, or like how would you tell like
Any way to get in that door is the way. My son went to NYU for theater. He's a production assistant. He wants to be an actor, but he's a production assistant because that's how you start. They just don't hand out shows to people. You have to start small. You have to be a guard at the museum for a while. You have to do these. I had all these odd jobs, and guess what? Every one of those jobs contributed to my life in some way. It makes you a well-rounded person. It wasn't like, oh, I'm too good to do this, which I think a lot of kids today think, no, I want to be famous right now. It doesn't work like that. You have to pay your dues, right? And by the way, even after you think you've made it, Raymond ended 2006. This show came on last year. Where have I been?
I want to
Never ends.
And I want to mention that you had the idea to do this show, and you were going to do it with American Express was originally going to sponsor. This was a bunch of years ago.
Yeah.
You did a pilot for them, right? And
It turned out, they didn't tell me this, but it turned out just to be a card member experience.
Okay.
For them. I thought they were, we're making a pilot for a television show. That was my dream, was to do exactly this. And it turned out not to be. But I did clips from that and started showing it around to get my dream.
And then you got the second version, and
PBS.
then you got this. And so how many years did it take to actually, like, you said, this is my dream to do the show until
Yes.
it actually, you got the green light?
10 years.
Wow. It's amazing, 10 years.
Overnight.
Some other questions? Yes, you've had your hand up for a while. And we'll go.
Nice to see you. Welcome. How do you like it? Me too.
And I came from a home where my mother just made basics. Like my father liked things like pickled pig's feet and stuff. She would get stuff for him, but we had chicken, roast beef, potatoes, carrots, peas, and corn.
Okay.
Literally, I did
Every day.
Brussels sprouts
Right.
until I was an adult.
Brussels sprouts are something that used to be horrible, boiled, awful, and now the way they make them, roasting them, frying them. Black licorice. I don't know why. You know, I'm not big on bugs. I don't seek out the weird stuff. There are enough shows, by the way, like that. If you saw certain shows, I did have to eat a bug or two. I didn't want to. But look at everything worth doing in life means stepping a tiny bit out of your comfort zone, including just getting on a plane sometimes.
Yes, in the back there. We'll do 2 and 2. Why don't you go first, and then you'll go.
Hi, my name's Catherine. I really love the scene in the Central Park with you and your wife.
Thanks.
Tell us where you took Monica on your first date. If you could do it over again, where would you take her out?
A much cheaper place. We actually dated. Our first kiss was in Central Park. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. The first date, we were in a play together, and I don't know if you've ever worked on on a play or something, you start to get to know people, and one thing led to another, and then she took advantage of me. I would do it the exact same way.
Monica was so good in Raymond, by the way.
I don't remember. Yeah, she's pretty great.
How did she get the role in Raymond?
She slept with the producer. And we had already been married a long time, so it was very unusual that this would happen.
Yes.
So on a typical day when you're not traveling around, do you just have the world's most diverse refrigerator in your contents, or do you just have, are you a creature of habit? What is your
Awesome question. Yes, when left on my own, I almost die. Because that's why it's called somebody feed Phil. I'm like the dog that you forgot about. You're going to think I'm kidding, but 2 nights ago, I was home, left to my own devices. I didn't feel like going out. I didn't feel like ordering in. It would take too long. I'm very hungry. Peanut butter and jelly with a banana. Serious. I enjoy that as much as anything. Hot dog with sauerkraut. Love it. Tuna, like really good tuna, like the Ventresca belly tuna that's like $10 a can. I can't even imagine. I'm like, look how rich I am. I get the tuna that's $10 friggin' dollars. Is it worth it? Yes. And by the way, what a cheap dinner. I'm telling you, look for this. Ventresca is the belly. That means the belly of the tuna. So you're getting like a whole fillet, not like a chopped up nothing. It is, you pull it out of the can, you put it on the bread, the best bread available if you can, a little sea salt, a tomato. That's it. That is one of my favorite meals in life, is that. It's the little things.
Yes.
I just wanted to say one thank you for your joy and your enthusiasm, how much you love food, and we're very excited because we're going to go Concho and Lisbon next month, and we cannot wait. Please, Don, we're recommending
You're going to have such a great time.
we're really excited.
I took Monica there just now because she wasn't there when we filmed that thing. So I go back and I visited all my friends there, Evo and the gelato store and the crazy Italian guy, all there.
And we're sitting at a chef's table, so we're very, yes, so thank you. But
Wonderful.
with that, do your children and Monica share the same enthusiasm?
They have to. They don't quite get as crazy as me, and a lot of the times my daughter is doing this. But I think they like it. My daughter's going to turn 21 in a couple of weeks, and we're going to take her to Napa for legit wine drinking. I say legit because she has been drinking.
I know that there's a few more questions. We're going to get to everyone. I just have to mention exporting Raymond. If you guys haven't seen this documentary, it's one of the funniest things. So when was it your idea or was it Sony's idea to film the entire thing?
My idea. I thought if they were going to do this, we should film it, see what happens. And it turned out to be a really funny movie because they tortured me for the whole time. And my family laughs harder than anybody because the joke of the movie is that I think I'm an expert in something, Raymond, and I go to a land where I've been invited and they don't want to listen to me. And so it's just an absolute culture clash. That movie led directly to this because people saw this and said, oh, we like the idea of you going places. I said, so does my wife. But by the way, I Skyped with my parents in that movie.
Yes.
For the first time, quite by accident. And that turned out to be, of course, the best thing in the movie, the funniest thing in the movie. So I'm no idiot. I remembered that. So,
And
the Skype home now is the modern day equivalent of the postcard. So you have a reason to do it, not just because they're hilarious.
And I want to mention the show in Russia, huge, huge hit over there. I mean,
I got a medal delivered 2 weeks ago from the Guinness Book of World Records. The Raymond adaptation is the longest running translation of a television show to another country in world history. Crazy.
Did you ever get the response of what the people that were in the movie, some of the people in Russia, what they thought of exporting Raymond?
They think it's hilarious.
They got okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sony was worried that the Russians might be insulted.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment in the movie where I'm talking to my driver/security man, and he says, "You know the man that was poisoned with the sushi with the polonium?" I said, "Yeah, you know that guy?" He says, "No, I know the one that poisoned him. He was a year ahead of me in school." And I thought that was hilarious, and it's one of the big laughs in the film, and Sony wanted me to cut this out. And I said, "Why?" And the president of Sony said, "Who do you think ordered that poisoning?" I said, "I don't know, Putin." He goes, "That's right, Putin." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What if Putin sees this movie and takes all of our products off the shelves in Russia, or worse?" And I said, "What do you mean, he poisons you and me?" He goes, "He's done it before."
There were a bunch of more hands that were up. Oh, yes. Hi. What's next?
Hopefully the show continues,
Yeah.
and then I get to eat some more. That's what's next. But I have other things that I write, I have to stay busy. But yes, I would love nothing more, though, than to keep doing this, because only an idiot would say, "Yeah, that's enough."
Yeah. I don't know if I can see in the back. Oh, yes, there's a bunch in the back I didn't get to. How about to go to the very back and then you? So we'll go to the very back. Sir, you. Sir, and then we'll go to the nice woman in the...
Two-part about the pizza. Did you find the Faroes worth the wait?
I didn't have to wait.
I did it once, and I think that was enough. Do you have any favorite places in the Bronx? On Arthur Avenue?
Yes, I love the deli there. Mike's Deli is awesome. I love the pasta shop. What's the name of that shop? Arthur Avenue is wonderful. That's a vacation.
Have you been to Full Moon Pizza?
Nope. Should I? Have you been to Enzo's?
What?
Enzo. There's two of them. One, the original one isn't on Arthur, but it's in the Bronx. I forgot the street, but I recommend that. It's fantastic. Old school Italian. I love it.
Old school Italian. And then, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Evelyn.
Hello.
My husband and I are from Brooklyn,
Nice.
and we're big fans.
Nice.
We know about this till last night when our son came over. Goes, "You know that guy Phil that you like? He's at the pit tomorrow." So he says, here's his social media, of course, to your guy. Said, "Here's the link, get the tickets." So we did, and we're here. And we've been traveling now based on your show.
I love. Nothing makes me happier.
PBS show, and then we kind of followed it and binge watched. And now we're into binge watching.
Nothing makes me happier. Yeah, that's
Oh,
so
yeah, I do
nice.
see it. Yes, over there.
Yes, I concur with this lady from Brooklyn. I did the same. I went to Barcelona, and I just
You guys should have dinner and talk about it.
I just returned from Lisbon, and I think you and I were both born in Flushing, Queens.
I was born in Jamaica.
What hospital in Jamaica, Queens in 1960? I was born in Jamaica, Queens in 1960. What hospital?
You were next to me in the bed. Jamaica Hospital. It's still there. When you go to JFK, you pass it every time.
The same hospital, same year.
Wow. Hi, brother.
I just had two more things to bring up before. I know you're so nice. You're going to stick around and do. I know a lot of people want to take selfies with you and say hi, and you're going to stick around. So I have two more things. Any other questions? I want to make sure everyone. Yes, ma'am. You and then you.
Surprising thing that you've learned in terms of self-discovery in your travels? The biggest takeaway? That's a two-part question. And the second part question is, what's the first thing you do when you get to your hotel room?
I got to be honest with you. I usually have been traveling the whole time, and I have like agita. I want to get out, and I either go for a walk all around the neighborhood or I hit the gym because my body needs to. I've become, you take your bad habit, sitting on the couch eating potato chips, and turn it into the good habit. You got to replace a habit with a habit because we're habitual. So that new habit has become working out. Every single day I feel weird if I don't do it. I guess it's part of an obsessive character, but I need to do it. So that's honestly, I got here yesterday. I had a 7 a.m. flight from LA, arrive at my hotel 4:30 p.m. New York time, bag down, gym. That's it. And then I can eat.
Yeah. There was another. Oh yes.
One really quick question.
Where's Richard? This is my least favorite question.
We could call him.
He's at the beach with his kids. And yeah, I'll see him later.
I want to make sure everyone else gets to. Yes.
He's enough.
I can't see that.
Just one. Just him.
Everyone else got to answer questions. Cool. You guys are good.
But I tell you, this is how blessed I get to work with my best friend. You know, that's what I wish this for everybody, to have work that you love with people you love. That's everything. You got the couch. You guys, how do you get that seat? That's a good seat. Yeah.
The Sunday night film nights that you sometimes have, of any recent films, any recent recommendations?
We should mention Phil has a movie night on Sundays. There's pizza. There's movies. Just to set it up for
Why
everyone.
don't you give him the address? There's an independent film that came out a couple months ago that blew us away. It's called The Rider. Anybody? The Rider. R-I-D-E-R. This is a movie made about people who live on an Indian reservation in South Dakota who have had to, the only jobs available to the men are being in the rodeo. So the Indians are playing cowboys, and they were going to make a documentary, but the lady who made it, she's from China, by the way. So it's outsider making movie about outsiders. It's phenomenal, this movie. She was going to make a documentary, but she found that they were stiff being themselves. So she told them, you know, we'll make a story, but they're playing themselves in a story that is their lives. You've never seen a movie like this. It is so powerful and fantastic and human and beautiful. Got to see this movie, The Rider.
You do these, you show films, and a lot of times the director, people will actually show up and stick around afterwards.
Because they like pizza.
Yeah, that's not true. They do like pizza, but people like Peter O'Toole, Aaron Sorkin, David O. Russell showed up unannounced with, who did he bring?
The whole cast of the movie.
So it's Mark Wahlberg is in your house.
Yes.
Amy Adams,
Yes.
was it?
Yes.
And so like Peter O'Toole, for example, he didn't want to see one of his films, but he wanted you to show a Cary Grant film.
That's right.
And then afterwards, he leads the discussion.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah. And then someone like Aaron Sorkin, he shows
Yes.
up. What did he show?
He shows up, and he showed the social
network.
Yeah.
And this is way before it comes out, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Not terrible.
Real quick, I had two quick things, and thanks for mentioning movie night. I was going to mention. So Raymond raps. You give your speech to the crew. It's the final night. There's tears, and you go to try to get a drink, and you go to craft service. And an hour after taping, what happens?
We were there for 9 years. We have a little wrap party at the thing. I go back to the big fridge, and I mean, I'm talking about like the kind of fridge you see in the convenience store with all the everything, you know, all the drinks and everything. It's gone. An hour later, where's the fridge? I wanted a soda. They said the show across the street needs it.
The coffee maker's gone. The refrigerator's
gone.
gone.
That's a metaphor for show business.
Yes. The last thing I wanted to mention, and I know it's sad, but it's still at the same time, it's a celebration of who he was. I know that you were very, it was a hard day, and you were very moved to talk about Anthony Bourdain. I know there's people here. I'm friends with somebody here. I know that there was just this outpour of sadness, but at the same time, it was people. He made so many people happy, and we have to acknowledge that and just celebrate his life. What were your thoughts on Anthony Bourdain? Did you know him?
I went to dinner with him once about 15 years ago. I went with him and Mario Batali, and you know, Mr. Bourdain was already a TV star and an idol of mine, and I found him to be completely lovely and charming, and you know, he is a kind of a superhero on the show, and kind of a daredevil and kind of cool, but he wasn't cool with us. He was a person, a very sweet person, and very, very kind and generous, I thought. I can't claim to know him very well. I spent the evening with him, and of course, it's a terrible tragedy what happened. He was a tremendous influence on not just me, but everyone who I think travels or eats. Yeah. I dedicate my series to him.
Any other questions before we end and we do selfies? I want to make sure everyone got their questions. Yes, one last question, sir.
How much
It was not from my brother's perspective. It was from my perspective, because I am that brother in my family. I was the older brother. You know, I don't know how many of you are older siblings. Tell me if this happened to you. I was 5 years old. My mother went to the hospital. She came back with my replacement. This hardly seems like good news. And so I treated him that way for 10, 15 years.
Okay, one last one, and then we'll say goodbye. We'll do selfie.
Yes, we're cute, aren't we?
Yes. The Rosenthal twins. Yes. I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for an amazing show. I can't believe how consistent, I mean, the quality of the show is the consistency and just how heartwarming the show is. It is one of those things where I've talked to people that have watched the show, and I see people on social media that you were inspiring people to venture out, which I think is such an amazing thing, and to really live their lives.
This show, this day, meeting you guys, this is the gift to me, so thank you.
Yes. Thank you to the pit. Thank you to BJ. Thank you to Christine. Thank you to all of you. Phil and I are just going to be backstage for a minute or two, and then he'll be out in the lobby, and he's happy to take selfies with any of you, take pictures. If you are doing it on social media, again, hashtag somebody feed Phil. But thank you so much for being here, and have a good afternoon.